Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to continue our look at the Legacy Wave 3 Deluxes with a two-parter. Get it? Get what I did there? See what I did there? Two-parter? Anyone? Funny? No? It's going to be Legacy Deluxe Class Dead End in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby! Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. And yes, this is indeed Dead End in his component pieces to be an arm for Menasor. But we're going to look at him in comparison with the Combiner Wars one. We're going to evaluate his robot, his vehicle mode, and his transformation as we always do. And we will kind of update, really toward the end of the review, update how this combiner is coming together so far in comparison to my modified Combiner Wars. So, there's a lot to unpack here. Without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And we continue on with Wave 3 of the Transformers Legacy Deluxes, and we continue on with our look at the ever-expanding Menasor by way of the Stunticons. With this guy, it is Deluxe Class Dead End. Before we look at Dead End, we're going to look at that packaging first. And we have Dead End in his vehicle mode. Over here, I mean, again, you see Dead End down here, close up on his face. Over here we have the typical Legacy artwork that's on the side of the box. And on the back we have Dead End in both modes, as well as the QR code if you wanted to take a look at that. Of course, that's up to you. And here we have instructions in case you need them, but I don't think you're going to need them too much because this guy is a retool of Dragstrip, really. Some things are different, some things are the same, but we'll get into it in a moment. Dude comes with two of these beautiful black blasters. They do have some metallic purple paint on them. It looks really nice. And here's a look at the team so far. Of course, we're missing Breakdown. They definitely changed this somewhat from what the original intention was because different members were going to homage kind of different things, like from the Stunticon job, and Dead End was going to have more purple on him, certainly in his windows, as an homage to, I think, the movie-verse Dead End. So they obviously kind of scrapped some of those ideas. And Breakdown, of course, was supposed to be a bit of an homage to the Transformers Prime Breakdown. I don't know how they planned on doing that. Nevertheless, I think that this is working out better. I think this is definitely the better way to have gone. And I'm still not sure how I feel about it yet, but I will say this. In terms of looking like the Stunticons, as much as I actually do like the Combiner Wars ones, and honestly, I'm one of those guys who didn't have issue with it. I'm not going to lie. This obviously looks more like the Stunticons that we all know and love from G1. You can also notice the similarities, certainly in the front leg panels, and probably the thighs of both Dead End and Dragstrip. Even the tires up here, though he has two and he has one, they move the same way. Same sort of thing with the panels and the forearms and stuff. You can see some similarities. Not the same, but you can certainly see some similarities. Alright, let's start giving this guy some scores. So, first things first, we're going to look at the way the guy looks. First, he has no feet, really. And he's supposed to have feet. The tires that are on the outside of the leg should be on the inside of the leg. The black thighs make sense. The black pelvis makes sense. The silver chest with the black going along here with the Decepticon logo, all of that makes sense. Granted, the very center here, I don't find his feet like to have him stand that great. The very center here should be a bit of a different detail than what they got there. Let me see if I can stand him up straighter. But again, it's certainly not hateful. The arms, the hands should be black. They're not. They're the maroon color. The biceps should be maroon. The forearm should be maroon. The biceps should be maroon. And right up by the shoulder, we should have the tire. So really where the black biceps are, that should still be maroon. The head, I mean, that should be black. It should have the kind of orangey colored, goldy colored faceplate, and I like the paint that's on there. And his visor is in fact a purple metallic. Usually Decepticons have just a red, but in a lot of the artwork, not necessarily all of it, but in a lot of the artwork for this guy, yeah, he actually does have a purple visor. It's mostly there. I'll also note that while in the show he didn't have the stripe, they did opt to put the stripe on this guy. And there should be a Decepticon symbol on the middle of the hood. That's not there. So again, a little nod to the, I guess the G1 toy iteration that had the line rather than the animation. I don't know if it makes a big difference, but I don't know. In looking at the guy, like it's definitely dead end. I would say it's more dead end than the Combiner Wars dead end, but I would say it's less dead end than the Takara Legends dead end. I'm going to say that the score is somewhere around. It's pretty good. For a look at somewhere around a 9. By the way, since he was mentioned, here is the Combiner Wars version of Dead End. Again, he doesn't really have feet either, but you can see that there's maroon stuff on his chest, right? So it's not exactly right. Although I do like this guy, and I thought that his maroon looked really, really nice. What about the articulation for this guy? Well, we have a head that goes left and right. Does it go up and down? Does not go up and down. The arm can go all the way around, out to the side, elbow to 90 degrees, bicep swivel. No wrist, right? I mean, just as, so I'm sure here. Yeah, no wrist. I feel like we're losing wrist a lot more here lately. Gonna take that out of it. We have a waist, kick, forward and back, thigh swivel, knee to, is it 90 degrees? I feel like the knee is just shy of 90 degrees. I feel like it's not quite 90 degrees. Ankle tilt, but man, these feet look terrible. Plus, I find that they do like to fall back. So he does, because he's a little bit back heavy, I do find he likes to go back a little bit. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this guy anyway, because I'm not a particularly big fan of Dragstrip. I don't think that was very well done, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this guy. It has most of it. I wish that he had better feet, and I wish that his knee was deeper. Otherwise, I think he's pretty good for a deluxe. Oh, and I wish the head had more mobility. If the coloration and the look of the guy is, say, a 9, let's kind of settle on a 9, right? It's pretty darn great. Not perfect, but great. Then the articulation is probably at 8.5. So right now he's sitting at, say, an 8.75. We're going to do the transformation. And I've only done this a couple of times, so we're going to see how it goes. And I think you're going to see that some of it, at least, is certainly familiar to what we had with Dragstrip. I'm going to back the camera up a little bit here, just so we got some room to work. Alright, so let's kind of get going here. We're going to begin by picking off everything here from the back. The whole shebang. And that should allow us to take out the arms. Some people try to pull the arms out before pulling this back. Don't, because it's super duper hard to do and you might wreck the little peg that's there that goes up right there. The head will flip all the way back and in, and then we can bring this forward, and you can even bring the hood up, though it's not solidified down yet by any stretch of the imagination. The arms here, we're going to, see if I can remember this now. Yeah, we're going to spin that around, and we're going to bring that down. And the whole thing comes up, right? So there's an armature in here, and that armature is going to come up, but in order to have the side of the vehicle kind of prepared, we're going to, again, I'll do it again here, rotate that down just like we did with the Dragstrip, and then this rotates down as well. Again, like we did with Dragstrip. Both of these come up, and they go together in here. Now when we did this with Dragstrip and brought these together, we ended up bring those in on the side too. We ended up having like the other tire here, and we had the spoiler and stuff up here. I'm calling it a spoiler. I don't know what exactly to call it. That's down. So that's like the front of the vehicle pretty much done. Then we get to the legs. Now, I'm going to note this now. Going back to robot mode from vehicle mode is somewhat brutal for me because these front pieces are very, very tight on mine. There's a tab right there that goes into a slot inside. Not the slot out here, a slot inside. And on my copy, they're super duper tight. Once this is in car, it's a pain in the neck to get back to robot mode. Only because of that. They're not as tight on Dragstrip. So we bring that up. Oh, and I'm going to note this now too, before I bring this up. They say that if you want the spoiler section to sit kind of as good as it's possibly going to sit flush, because there's a lot of gappage issues there, you got to make sure that these tabs in here are together good and solid like. So I got all that done. Then we kind of Combiner Wars the legs up, solidify that in. We bring these up on the front, right? And then these go up here. Now, you're probably, you might notice, oh, actually I don't know if I got gaps this time. I think it worked out pretty good. Because in the end, boom, here we have Dead End in his vehicle mode. Oh, and I will note this, you can take the blasters if you're so inclined, and put that one there, and take this blaster and put it up right there. And I'm not gonna lie, obviously the Legacy looks more like Dead End than this does. Originally when this was announced, I was like, I don't think I'm in for this and whatnot. A, because I heard that it was the size of Devastator. B, because it was so much more expensive. And C, because I heard that they were going to be stylized. That's not the case. I gotta say, this looks more like Dead End, at least to me. Not that this is bad. And there's an argument for just staying with the Combiner Wars. But I do like the look of this, and he does roll smoother than this guy. By the way, in the midst of trying to show the entire group as vehicles, I just want to point out, call this a little bit of a mini review, if you will. With Dragstrip, I was sent the Superman Studio filler set for him. It's not worth its own review, but I do want to give a big shout out to our buddy Joe for sending this my way. And what it does is it fills in the back of his arms, which were hollow. They just push in. It's a decent color match. The yellow is a little darker on the filler on the forearms, but it's not bad. Also, on the back of the head, instead of being hollow, it's now filled in. And in vehicle mode, as we will see, this actually opens up to become a driver's seat for the race car. So, neat little set. Just fills out his arms a little bit and gets rid of that hollow, that atrociously hollow head. And yes, indeed, here's the Stunticon team so far, and I gotta say, like, this looks like the Stunticons. I always thought it was strange that he was here, but apparently he, like, transports race cars or something. I don't know. But you'll notice we have a nice red seat here now instead of just the hollow orb that was there. Yes, it's a bit high, but I like this. Way better than a hollow head. I'm gonna just put the other blaster in there. Right? Obviously, the focus of this review being Dead End, he looks, you know, he fits right in. So this is how they look in vehicle mode. And of course, that only leaves one other thing to do, and that's going to be Menasor mode, and that's going to be a comparison of Menasor to Menasor. However, that being said, for the individual scores for this guy right here, by the way, this filler kit, I mean 10. It's great little simple filler kit from Superman Studio. It's excellent. But we had really, you know, about, what was it, like an 8.5 and a 9. Like, you know, for his look, it's pretty close. It's about a 9. For the articulation, I guess again, that's about a 9. Like, right now the dude's about a 9. The transformation is not bad, actually. The transformation is pretty good. Overall, I feel like this version of Dead End is about a 9. I think the transformation is also around a 9. I don't know what numbers I kind of said earlier, because I'm not going to lie. There was a big break from the earlier part of the review until now, but I'm going to go with 9s across the board. That's what I'm going to settle on. I'm going to say 9s across the board for this guy. Although, to be fair, the Articulation might have been scored slightly lower. I might have even said an 8 for that, maybe even an 8.5, because of the fact that the leg is in the full 90 degree at the knee and the head can go left and right but doesn't seem to have up and down, right? So, I mean, it comes with a little bit of a caveat, if you will. That being said, I'm in a bit of a good mood, so we're going to say 9s across the board. He's pretty good, though mine has a couple of super duper tight tolerances. A little too tight for my liking. What about how Menasor's coming together compared to Menasor? And so finally, here's where we currently are with the two versions of Menasor, the Combiner Wars 1 and of course now the new Legacy one. Now, I don't know, man, I really don't know. To be fair, and as a caveat, I know that the torso of the Combiner Wars 1 is the worst. I've never had any issues really with the hips, but I know a lot of people did. And my big issue was in trying to move the arms, that the Motormaster arms would come unpegged. They didn't really peg in. I did a lot of work there. I actually changed the lower forearm portion to the Battlecore Optimus lower forearm portion that locks in there better. I drilled a hole through the wind vane and I actually put a 5mm peg through there that goes into the hand of Motormaster now. So he's actually a lot more solid. Same with putting the chest piece on, that being Blackjack. I think that was his name, Blackjack. I had to adjust the pegs and whatnot a little bit so that they like solidly kept him on, because he did like to fall off. If you didn't do any of those issues, then I do think that the Legacy is more sturdy. If you fixed those issues or you have add-on kits for those issues, I don't know which one I prefer. I like the Combiner Wars. I find it quite functional and I do think it has the better sword, but as this one's coming together, I'll give credit where credit is due in terms of solidity and in terms of heft. But I still don't know how I feel about the Legacy one, in essence, being a full robot, you know, to which the cars are just attached. They're not really combined, right? Like, here's Dead End, the focus of this review, over on the arm in his two pieces. By the way, getting Dead End apart into his two pieces was brutal. Just putting them on the arms and having the button press the chest and it's supposed to like magically make it come apart, that doesn't work. I had to press the button in on the chest and manually take it apart and put it on. Same thing though with Dragstrip. I don't find either of the arms work the way that they're designed in terms of like putting the guy on and then you should be able to extend the arms and he'll automatically come apart. Nope, that doesn't work with either of mine. And trying to put Wall Rider on the leg is brutal. It's brutal trying to get him on there. So I find putting the Combiner Wars 1 together so far better. But we'll see once we get to the end. By the way, this is the leftover piece that really doesn't go anywhere on the Legacy lad. I have put it into the back of his blaster, so now he has a gigantic cannon that goes all the way up his arm, because I don't like pieces left over. However, at the end of the day, in terms of Dead End, you know, I already gave kind of his overall score. I mean, he's quite good. He's quite good. But I think that there is definitely room for some subjectivity in there as well. As far as a Menasor goes and how that's shaping up, we'll delve more into it later on, but you can kind of see the comparative analysis here. I am glad about one thing with the Legacy. I was immediately out, and I've said this even earlier in the review, because I had heard that he was going to be the size of Titan class Devastator. To me, that made no sense. I am glad to see that he is at least in line with all of the other combiners that were done earlier, which means even if you do want to upgrade your Menasor, but not your other Combiner Wars / Power of the Primes combiners, at least this guy will fit right in with those. You know, in terms of size, in terms of how he would match, yeah, he'll match just fine. And here we are once again, and of course we have our boy Dead End over on the arm of Menasor now. And this is where things kind of currently stand with Menasor. We are missing Breakdown at the moment. So let's talk about Menasor to Menasor first. I mean, again, this is coming along. I still don't really call it a combiner per se. It still feels like a skeleton putting on clothes. Though I will admit that the more that goes on him, the more mass and heft he does have. He is definitely a solid chunk. If you have an unmodified Combiner Wars, then I get that you would definitely think this is better, because the torso is definitely one of the major keys. If you made a bunch of changes like I did, I mean, it's negligible, it's comparable between this and that. But like I said, I had to do a lot of work on mine. I still feel like that succeeds more as an actual combiner, but this might succeed more as an actual robot. We'll see when we have them totally completed. I don't like all of this hanging off. That's why I've done this with it. And of course, you can get upgrade kits and whatnot. When we talk about Dead End himself, I think the vehicle mode is quite successful, though admittedly that back end is a pain and a nuisance for an awful lot of people. And for me, it's even hit or miss, even though we all know what's supposed to happen for it all to fit. But I do think it is the more successful vehicle, no doubt about it. In terms of robot, it's okay. Again, I do find the proportions, especially of the legs, a little bit wonky. I find it more solid than the drag strip use. Like when I put my drag strip together, he kind of rattles. I don't find that that happens with Dead End. He seems more solid in that regard. The whole gimmick of putting him on the arm and pressing in that button in his chest, tummy, and that'll make the car come apart. It's not that easy on this guy. It does not work that fluid. It was quite a bit of work to get him apart into his two component pieces. In terms of the robot, again, I love the paint on the face. I love the metallic purple that's used. I'm not a huge fan of the feet, not only because they don't really look like feet, but I find the ankles are kind of weak, and the dude, because he's sort of back heavy with his hood and stuff on his back, likes to fall back. I really don't find him as stable and secure as Dragstrip in terms of standing up good and solidly. I don't know, there's things certainly to like here, and there's things not to like. Just like with the Combiner Wars, there's things to like and not like. I don't feel like either one is a perfect representation of Dead End, and I feel like some third-party companies have done it certainly better, not only in the MP scale, but in like the smaller Legend scale. I think a lot could have been helped if the guy had actual feet, but I'm not a designer, so what do I know? Let me know what you think about old Dragstrip and how Menasor is coming along. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you if you're in a position to help the channel to grow. You can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around and have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially don't forget that somehow, man, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do very much make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.